So UFC 316's feature prelim has garnered some controversy regarding the illegal strike from Paul Craig to Rodolfo Bellato, wondering whether or not he was faking a knockout. And people like Anthony Smith are pretty confident that it was fraudulent, but I am in the minority, it seems like, in giving Rodolfo Bellato the benefit of the doubt and thinking that he was truly knocked out here. And so I'm going to walk you through this video of why I believe this. You've probably already seen the clip, but I will go ahead and show you this again here.
Shocked to see it because he looks at the ref like.
So right here is some of the controversy. You see Bellato being knocked down. He is protesting to the referee.
Look.
Then he's out.
And then he's out. And then watch this when he comes to.
He jolts away.
He doesn't know the fight is over. Doesn't know what happened. So here he is with
the referee. So we've seen this happen. We've seen people fight the referee before after being knocked out. But it was just a weird transition between protesting to being knocked out to then recovering. It's led a lot of people to be skeptical of whether or not this is a true knockout. Anthony Smith says, you see his eyes come to the referee to protest and then realizes maybe I can get a free win. Lays there, pretends he's unconscious, jolts back awake allegedly. Referee comes over. That is a man who's awake. Pretends to grapple the referee as if he's unconscious, trying to get a cheap win. I've been doing this a long time, and I know what it looks like when somebody's faking it. Very definitive words from Anthony Smith. Very definitive. But I question first, immediately, how much, in that time when Bellato's going down, the split second, not even a second, Bellato decides all this in the middle of doing, I just don't think that Bellato's going to put on this much performance for a cheap win. And why do I think that? Well, if you don't watch MMA that much or aren't familiar with Rodolfo Bellato, then when you look at who he is, if you know some of his previous fights, he's had comeback wins. This guy is who likes to grind out fights. He's not someone who's looking for a cheap win. That's something we have to consider. We have to consider his character here. Who is Bellato? You know, he's been in some dog fights and come out on top. This is not someone who's looking for a cheap win, clearly. He has good record in LFA, is 1-0 in the UFC. If you know Paul Craig, his previous fight, if not mistaken, was against Bo Nickel, who we know Bo Nickel's striking is atrocious. And his striking against Paul Craig looked really good, all things considered. It was the same combination. I won't go into that, but it was the same combination every time, but he still landed those strikes. So who's Rodolfo Bellato in comparison to Bo Nickel? Well, he has, seven knockouts. 57% of his wins are by knockout. He's never lost a submission, which is the threat that Paul Craig sports when you fight him. This is a great matchup for Rodolfo Bellato. He has no reason to want a cheap win, a DQ win. It makes a lot more sense to have a knockout win over someone like Paul Craig, who's a journeyman, a relatively well-known name in the UFC. That will really transcend him into the talks of rankings. This is a great matchup for Rodolfo, and I imagine he would have won by knockout. He won the first round. It's not like he was down this whole first round. That would make more sense. He wasn't down. He's up. And he has a good chance of getting a knockout win. It makes no sense, really, for Rodolfo to get a cheap win here. So that's the first thing I wanted to point out. That's kind of odd. Another thing, I want to look at other delayed TKOs or KOs. This is Burgos versus Barboza. So take a look here.
Good right hand by Barboza.
Let me rewind. Right there. And then you saw he starts going back. Here's another one from Muay Thai.
Shots right up the middle, just like that. Beautiful jab to a body shot.
There's a very interesting technique that.
And then she goes down there, really delayed. And then here's a boxing example. So why am I showing you these? Of course, they're all delayed knockouts. But what do all these have in common? I want you to pay attention to where these strikes land on the opponent.
More busy with the left.
Oh. Right there. It was right behind the ear, or on the ear, at the very least. Where does this one land?
Shot.
There's a very interesting technique that.
Again, behind the ear or on the ear. What about the boxing? Well, this one is the first strike. Look at the first strike. Boom, right there behind the head. Right there behind the head or around the ear, or at least the neck area. So where does Paul Craig's strike land? Let me rewind this and show you this.
Laid out. That was interesting too.
You can't really see it that well there, but it's still the neck and ear area. And really the delayed KOs, I mean, it's around the same amount of time as Rodolfo's. I mean, Rodolfo's is even sooner, actually. You know, it's probably a stronger strike than these others because it's a leg kick other than the Muay Thai one. I mean, it's an up kick. So I think that Anthony Smith and other people who are so quick to assume that Rodolfo Bellato is faking this, it displays a little bit of arrogance. Especially when we consider how much we don't know about the brain, how much we don't know about how we react when we get hit. We see weird things. It's not common, but it's, you know, not all knockouts look the same. And if you think that Rodolfo's faking it, you can say these other people are faking it too. And we obviously know that's not the case. Now the protest is odd, but maybe it just took a second for him to register. I mean, that's like a natural reaction for him to be like, hey, what the hell, man? You know, and then immediately goes down. So considering how ignorant we are about the brain, and considering who we know Rodolfo Bellato is, as well as how these other knockouts, how the strikes are landing in the same area for these delayed KOs, there's a lot of evidence here, a lot of things that point towards Bellato being genuine in this incident. So I think we have to be careful not to give the Bellato, not give him the benefit of the doubt, and be arrogant and assume that we're going to know, well, based off the minimal knowledge we have. We're not neurologists here. A lot of these people talking are not neurologists. I'm not claiming to be a neurologist. But there's a lot more things here that point towards Bellato being genuine in this knockout. So that's my 2 cents on this. I just wanted to get that out there because I do think that is something to consider, and I hope to hear what y'all think about this. Is what I'm saying seem legit? Does this make sense? Is there something else I'm not considering here? I just wish more people would be talking about what Paul Craig did in a legal strike, considering he had the audacity to come and say that he thinks that he was faking it whenever he was the one at fault for the legal strike. You know, this wouldn't have been an issue if it wasn't for what he did. He should be thankful that he didn't have to face another knockout loss or a knockout loss. So anyway, that's my 2 cents. Let me know what y'all think, and I will see y'all next time.